Only by prayer and fasting. Now this is a great subject, right? Prayer and fasting is what Jesus came and taught us. He showed us how to do it. What is prayer? Prayer is communication with God. Connecting to God. Are you praying? Are you connecting to God? Daily? Not only daily. Every time you think of God. What is fasting? Fasting is a physical action of obedience to God, which releases a spiritual reward for you. In order to see that, Jesus has taught us. Once he got baptized, he went into the wilderness. He went for 40 days, 40 nights, fasting. Nothing, just fasting. He didn't have any food, anything. And then, at the end, angels came, attended him, strengthened him. And this is an example Jesus is giving. So, if you look in the Bible, who are the greatest prayer warriors? And David. And then Jesus, of course. So let's look at David. David is a man after God's own heart. He cries out, and if you see all the Psalms you read, he's crying out as a human being, as a king, as a person. He lays out what he wants and he draws strength from God. And again, Jesus. Let's look at Jesus, what Jesus teaches us. He's the Son of God. Let's turn to Matthew 6.
Come on. Let's go, Paul. That's great. Come on, bro.
Matthew 6, verse 5 through 15. If you're there. Jesus teaches about prayer and fasting here. So the theme of this, Jesus is teaching us about the heart. It's not like just praying, babbling, and standing and saying things. Because we all want to pray, we want to communicate, but how do you communicate? What do you ask? Is your heart behind it? And that's what Jesus teaches us here. Scriptures, Matthew 6, 5. And when you pray, do not be like hypocrites, for they love to pray standing in the synagogues and on the street corners to be seen by others. Truly I tell you, they have received their reward in full. But when you pray, go into your room, close the door, and pray to your Father who is unseen. Then your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you. And when you pray, do not keep on babbling like pagans, for they think they will be heard because of their many words. Do not be like them, for your Father knows what you need before you ask Him. This is how you should pray. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us today our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. These are the prayer how Jesus teaches us. And then let's jump to verse 16 about fasting. Because they go hand in hand. And if you look at in the Bible, in the Old Testament, you read all prophets, they all fast and pray. Israelites fast and pray. Even now, Jesus, there was a disciples when they're all going and preaching, and as Jesus is teaching, some of the synagogue, Pharisees, they came and asked, why your disciples are not fasting? And Jesus says, because I'm with them. When Jesus died and rose on third day, and now he has taught us how to pray and fast. So that's what, let's look at Jesus' teaching about fasting. When you fast, do not look somber as hypocrites do, for they disfigure their faces to show others they are fasting. Truly I tell you, they have received their reward in full. But when you fast, put oil on your head and wash your face, so that it will not be obvious to others that you are fasting, but only to your Father who is unseen. And your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you. One question I want to ask you, what happens when you fast and pray? Think about that just for a minute. There is something about fasting. What we're doing, we're physically giving up something we love, we desire, we enjoy. We give up. When you do that, what happens? That is a physical act of obedience that brings the spiritual release of favor and blessing. Look out! Miracles will come. Favor will come. The blessings will come. My call to action to the congregation, to our brothers and sisters, there are 5 powerful prayers to pray. 1, pray to get God's perspective. Look at God's promises. Don't look at the problem. You may have lost a job, or you don't have anything to eat, or you don't have, you have a lot of problems around you. But don't look at the problems. Pray that God shows you a big picture. Number 2, be a person of prayer. Pray continually to see God's plan for you. When you pray, the coincidences happen. You think, oh, how this happened? Because you pray. God is listening. He's sending angels. Take help. And do, what God has planned for you. Now, what happens when you don't pray? Those coincidences doesn't happen. What happened? Nobody's helping me. So, what do you have to do? Do a push. P-U-S-H. Pray until something happens. Pray until something happens. Number 3, pray to enlarge your potential. And this is where I encourage you to go to 1 Chronicle 4:10, Jabez prayer, and make it your personal prayer. And you can see what God unleashes in you, enlarges your potential. Because we all have potential, but in order to see that potential, we have to go and pray. And 1 Chronicle 4:10, this is Jabez, cried out to the God of Israel, "Oh, that you would bless me and enlarge my territory. Let your hand be with me and keep me from harm, so that I will be free from pain." And God granted his request. And the last 2 things is be positive and expect God's provisions for you. I love you all.